We're getting into midsummer now, and the fish might be getting a little finicky, and that doesn't mean that they aren't still biting, but you may have to modify your technique just a little bit. To talk more about this is our friend Jason Matity of getfishing.ca. Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so what is it exactly that we have to modify this time of year in order to get that fish to bite?
Well, lots of people out, lots of people catching fish, and the fish sometimes, especially as the heat comes on, they get a little bit less aggressive. So we have to settle things up a little bit. And the technique I'm going to be talking about allows you to be aggressive but also subtle and try a variety of baits at the same time.
So what is the technique that you're going to be talking about today?
So the technique, and you can see basically on the video we're showing here, there's a weight on the bottom that you can't see, but what it is that allows a bait like a natural worm that we're using here to be suspended up off the bottom, sort of in full view in front of the fish. Now, what it essentially is a weight on the bottom and a hook tied a little farther up. And as they say, that weight essentially is only there to get the hook down, but it allows that bait to sit up high and fish naturally off the bottom. Anywhere, like the weight's down here for the viewer, and then we've got the lure up high here. And you can actually go slack on that with the weight on the bottom, and if it's a live bait, you just allow it to swim around. But if it's a rubber natural bait like this Crush City from Rapala, you can manipulate it and bounce it along too. So that's the thing. Be more aggressive with the artificials, but be more natural and subtle with like a leech or a night crawler, for example.
And this technique, I believe it's called a drop shot, correct?
Correct.
So
correct,
what are some of the ways that this is helping us while we're out there?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the nice thing is it's very universal because you can cast it and retrieve it and just slowly thump that weight back. It does really, really well if you do have a boat and you could drop vertical on a fish. Sometimes they'll bite the jig and sometimes they won't. In fact, what I've tied onto your outfit there is I've got the drop shot hook higher up and I'm using a flasher jig as the weight on the bottom. That can be really, really deadly to bring fish in, and sometimes you'll get two at once if you get lucky with that. But sometimes it can cause a little target confusion, like the fish will come in and go, I don't know what I'm doing, which one do I bite? So that's why often just the single hook up top, as they say, either with a bright artificial like this or Z-Man, which has a lot of elasticity, that's the elastic technology, is also really, really good to get those fish to bite.
So what is it exactly about the long, slender weights that are helping us?
Yeah, and on this one, I've got, and I know it's really, really hard for the viewer to see because these are quite small, but this is a bell sinker. This is fine for most southern Saskatchewan waters where we don't have a lot of snags, but farther up north where we have a lot of rocks and trees and tobin and stuff, those long, slender weights are sort of shaped like a pencil, so they're very, very thin, but they're long, so they can pull through snags really, really well. So that's where they really, really excel.
And I noticed on the video that we had just shown, you had a live worm on that hook. Is that the best bait this time of year? What should we...
You know what, I would start a bit more aggressive and gaudy, if you will, with this. And if you're not getting tagged or bites on this, then go with natural bait. The nice thing with the leech, particularly, or a worm, is you just let that sit there and it does all the work. As opposed to a soft plastic where you're doing the work and jigging, you just leave it and let it do its work, and then all of a sudden the rod tip will just load like this, and it's just a nice sweep. And you load that rod up and you're going to get tons of walleyes and perch and even some pike doing that.
All right, so if you're heading out this time of the season, here's some advice from our fishing expert, Jason Matity. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.